These are the moments that you dream about.
Loves it up, and he gets it. Are you kidding me? What an interception! My, oh my! Huge hit. Ball is out. The ball is out. That was sick. Unbelievable. We keep thinking we've seen it all, and we never have we? That's a nice truck, brother.
Did you see any of those trucks over there on the Autobahn?
I did not.
When you were in Europe?
I did not. Guten Tag.
I don't know what accent that is. This is the Kickoff. We are presented by Ram Truck. That was a tremendous truck. Gary Striewski back from his trip from abroad.
We are so back. It's good to be back on American soil, brother. Where public restrooms are free, so too is ketchup, and air conditioning drops below 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
Ice in the drinks. What?
Come
Welcome.
on.
America. So you were gone so long, you almost expatriated.
Yeah, but I'm glad to be back.
Okay.
Because these colors don't run. They just go on vacation when your sister gets married a little bit.
Real quick, how many states do we have?
50.
50 nifty. That's right. Let's focus on the state of Louisiana right now and get you in. Just jump you back in.
Okay.
LSU, Texas A&M, the Tigers.
What did I miss?
Well, the Tigers are 8th ranked in the country, by the way. Yeah.
Okay.
Garrett Nussmeier and company are rolling, but they are underdogs at College Station because the Aggies are also, they're undefeated in the SEC.
Okay, the fighting Mike Elko's, remember, they started the season, they had an ugly loss, and we were like, ooh,
Well, yeah.
Aggies, real bad.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden I see they're the 14th team in the land. And correct me if something's changed in the last 2 weeks that I've been gone. It's a 12-team college football playoff format, right?
Correct.
Okay, so they're still on the outside looking in, although they are favorites to the LSU Tigers.
So where does LSU stack up in the SEC in your mind? And I'm gonna buy you a little bit of time.
Okay.
I'm not trying to pop quiz you here, but Alabama's taken on some water.
Yeah.
Texas just lost to Georgia, or Georgia just beat Texas.
Okay.
So you got some other teams. One loss Dogs, one loss Longhorns, one loss Tigers, one loss Aggies. Get a little cloudy, a little muddy.
This is what I'm going to say. I'm not going to put them in front of a group of teams. I can't put them behind a group of teams. What I'm going to do, because this is America, is I'm going to take the easy way out. I'm going to tier them as a group of teams that deserve the first crack at a college football playoff conversation.
Yeah.
Because even though I was abroad, I did see that Texas, the #1 team in all the land, lost at home to those Georgia Bulldogs, the one-loss Georgia Bulldogs. So at this point, correct me if I'm wrong here, there's a lot of one-loss action in the SEC.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that being said, LSU is in that first grouping of SEC teams that should get playoff consideration. Am I wrong in saying that?
Playoff consideration is one thing, yes, and you're right. And I think if LSU handles its business there in front of the 12th man, I think LSU moves up. Maybe we're talking about a 6th-ranked team in the country.
I still don't think they're SEC champions. I think I saw enough from Georgia going on the road, exacting some revenge from that loss in Tuscaloosa, which they almost won, knocking off the Longhorns.
I do want to bring up Garrett Nussmeier, though. More than 2,200 passing yards. He's been the steady
Just
Eddie.
last week?
No, not while you were gone.
That would have led the show.
Not while you were gone. So it's one thing to talk about playoff conversation. What about Heisman hype for Nussmeier? Because I don't know.
Stop it.
Hold on.
Stop.
Ashton Genty, yes. Travis Hunter has missed some games. So, well, not missed some full games, but like his snap count is down. And then you've got Dylan Gabriel out in Oregon, but otherwise, I don't know that there's a quarterback.
Is Cam Ward still not in the
Cam Ward is
conversation?
still doing it, but like, do you get a representative from the SEC at quarterback?
So Jalen Milroe has now removed himself from Heisman consideration and contention because
he's turning the football over a ton.
The Crimson Tide have 2 losses in their last couple of tries. So you're saying if we're talking about having to have an SEC quarterback not named Jackson Dart anymore, be in the Heisman conversation, not as the favorite, but just you got to have an SEC quarterback in that conversation because college football, you're taking Jalen Milroe out and insert Garrett Nussmeier.
It's not Carson Beck either. Beck, if you showed the stat lines from last week, Quinn Ewers. Actually, I'll say Quinn Ewers, even though his bench had a better game than Carson Beck. Carson Beck was a mess. So Carson Beck isn't in that conversation. So just table that away. Okay. If there's an SEC quarterback that goes to New York, it's probably Nussmeier. Now, the Aggies. Yes, they lose in week 1 to Notre Dame. Did we give up on them too easily?
Yes, 100%.
Too early. They're 6-1.
We did because we remember them stumbling out of the gates early in the season. We didn't necessarily like the quarterback play. The backup came in, did his thing. Are we sold on the Aggies, I guess is a better way?
Just did we give up too quickly?
I think so, but now they're back. Look at that. I come back. And so too are they.
Well, it's a what have you done for me lately kind of business.
You know that, and now we're knocking on November's door.
Right.
All right.
It's show business, not show friends, I think is what you're saying. So if you win football games, Le'Veon Moss has 5 rushing touchdowns in his last 2 games. So maybe he's taking some of the pressure off Connor Wigman.
Friends?
This is both. That's a trick question. Get it.
Back like we never left. Are you kidding me? What's the next game?
Let's get to Notre Dame Navy.
Oh, that's
now,
not.
When we looked at the schedule, we thought maybe game day was going to go to this matchup. Ranked matchup, undefeated Navy.
Come on.
One loss Notre Dame.
Our nation's finest, and then also Navy's playing in this game.
Navy's, wow, ranked this late in the season for the first time since 1979. They're undefeated for the first time this late in the season since 79. This is Notre Dame's schedule. There are some tricky matchups moving forward. Virginia has a pulse. Army is legit. That one's at neutral site.
And then they got to travel to USC?
And then they got to go out to USC.
Okay.
I will say this. Obviously, my heart, my family, we're rooting for Navy. I'll root with you for Army against Notre Dame.
Hey.
There is a world where both Navy and Navy and Army beat Notre Dame and then are undefeated against each other in the AAC championship game.
Okay.
As for this game itself, 2 touchdown favorites are the Irish. Does Navy have a chance?
Yes. I don't like how this game is sterilized in that it's at a neutral site.
It's at MetLife.
It's at MetLife. So this would have been cool either under touchdown Jesus or you're saying Memorial Stadium, right? Where the Middies play?
Yeah.
Okay, that would have just been cool because then maybe instead of Bloomington, no disrespect, all right, game day is at Navy, Notre Dame. But there's nothing that we've seen Navy not do that indicates to me they should be any sort of dog in this game.
Well, Notre
Other
Dame,
than not knowing how to throw the forward pass.
Well, but they do this. They're averaging
That's
100.
okay.
They're averaging 161 passing yards per game, which right now, like for Navy, that's their highest mark as far as the season since 1994.
Yeah.
They've played some teams. That's the thing. They're part of this conference now. They're playing teams with pulses. They're blowing them out. And now you take on, though, the FBS 10th ranked defense is Notre Dame. So it's going to be a real come to Jesus moment here for the Mids.
You're
perhaps.
right. In New Jersey. So you're saying Navy
Yeah.
showing signs of having more of an Air Force.
Well, listen, the most famous aviators in the United States military, Top Gun.
Yes.
Last I checked, still a branch of the Navy.
Now,
I'm just saying, still a part of the Navy.
Let me ask you this question, because it's in the blood.
No.
Who was your dad's roommate in college?
Roger Staubach was
I've
his
heard
roommate.
of him.
Yeah.
Captain America.
And you know what he did?
Ding, ding, ding,
You know what he
ding,
did?
ding, ding.
He beat Notre Dame. A couple of times.
That's what I was trying to get to.
Does Notre Dame need this win
Yes.
to make the college football playoff?
Don't need you to finish the
They just do?
Yes.
Flat out.
Because they have 2 more ranked opponents on their schedule, the Fighting Irish. It's a 12-team playoff. Yes, they're ranked 12th, but they're going to be some moving and shaking. They need this win against number 24 Navy, and then in 3 weeks, they need to hopefully have Army still ranked at 23 or lower, or higher rather, for them, because they need to beat Army as well.
We'll wrap this Notre Dame discussion with this little nugget here. The Irish have a 56% chance to make the playoff. It's the 9th best of any school, according to the All-State Playoff Predictor. It drops to 15% if they lose to Navy on Saturday.
Okay, go Army.
All right, time now for Built for Success, presented by Ram Trucks. They are succeeding, and they are building in Bloomington, Indiana. Kurt Cignetti is the architect. You can see what his offense has done. 49 points a game. They haven't trailed this season. They're 7-0 for the first time since 1967.
That's all impressive. The most impressive thing I'm seeing on this full screen, my guy is a fashion savant, a trailblazer. We know about the quarter zip. The Manning brothers have made it famous. We know about the full zip. That's standard. Is Coach Cignetti introducing to the world the half zip?
Yeah, at least the zipper.
The half zip to the navel?
Is the exact opposite color of the rest of the red. Listen, he's not talking fashion. He has gone viral.
Okay.
He has been famous for an answer at a press conference. Listening to Coach Cignetti.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Oh,
okay,
that goes so hard.
It does.
Let's welcome in, so you mentioned the fashion of Kurt Cignetti, who has never had a losing season in 14 seasons. We never lose with Heather Dinich, our queen who's with us, and she is rocking a wonderful sweat that you said looks like she's wearing
a fabric hug.
A fabric hug, yes.
I want to hug of fabric.
Heather, for the purposes of this, though, let's continue to heap praise on Indiana. That win over Nebraska was an absolute thumping. They lost their starting quarterback in it, fine. But what did that win prove?
Well, it proved that IU is a legit playoff contender, and that's because, well, let's hold the phone there for a minute, because what they've done this season has come against the 112th ranked strength of schedule. So let's be clear, that's not very good. But Nebraska is one of the 2 teams, along with Maryland, that has a winning record. That matters in the committee meeting room. Not just are you a ranked opponent, but are you a respectable opponent above 500? Nebraska fits the bill for that. But what teams can do, and we've seen done in the past with Ohio State and Michigan, to overcome a weak strength of schedule is flat out dominate opponents. And that is what Indiana has done. 40 points at least in 6 straight games. And defensively, they haven't allowed anyone to score in the first quarter. So that combination of passing the eye test does help compensate for lack of resume.
Now they're going to have to overcome an injury to their quarterback, but you sort of alluded to it there at the beginning of your first answer, is that they look like a legit playoff team. So if they keep winning, and in convincing fashion, well, maybe not even in convincing fashion, Heather, how will the playoff committee evaluate these Hoosiers?
Well, the committee, first of all, evaluates injuries to key players. So they will know that Curtis Rourke is out for this game against Washington. But according to the great Pete Thamel, he's not expected to be out for too long. So how do they fare? Can they win without him? Do they still look like a playoff team without him in the lineup? That's the first thing. Down the stretch, can they beat Ohio State? Look, if that's the only chance that they really have to wow the College Football Playoff Selection Committee left on their schedule, that November 23rd game at Ohio State, because a win against Michigan, that's turning into a shoulder shrug, let's be honest. So if they finish 11-1 and their only losses to Ohio State, and they are not playing in the Big Ten championship game, they're fighting for one of those 7 at-large bids. Again, was that a close loss to Ohio State? How did that game unfold? Did they get smacked? Those are all details that the committee pays attention to, along with common opponents. Hey, Texas played Michigan too. How do those results compare? So all of those things will come under the microscope, but you got to continue to win the way they are.
They're 7-0. On the flip side of that, you do look at that schedule and you see the only ranked opponent is Ohio State, who they have yet to play like, okay. Let's see how they do in a couple of weeks.
Maybe a snug loss there, like at Ohio State, at the Horseshoe, like maybe that factors into it. I want to talk about their opposition here this week, right? It's a noon kickoff. Game day is there. It's Washington who comes a-calling, and they lost so much, the Huskies did. How do we properly assess Jedd Fisch in his first year so far out there in Seattle, Heather?
Well, quite honestly, I think it's been fantastic because I remember talking to him at Big Ten Media Days when he called it a complete reboot. I mean, think about this. 46 new scholarship players, 21 of 22 new starters, and this team beat Michigan, okay? Look, I realize they go on the road, they have a close loss at Rutgers. Remember, that's now a cross-country trip, right? But you're talking about a new coaching staff, strength and conditioning staff, nutrition staff. I mean, the word reboot was 100% accurate, and again, they beat Michigan. So I think he's doing a fantastic job considering the complete overhaul that took place there.
21 of 22 of last year's players who took them to the national championship no longer on that team, and they have an above 500 record. Okay, I can pick up what Heather's putting down right there.
And they avenged their loss in the national championship game to Michigan. How many players did they have? 21? 21.
21.
All right, that has been Built for Success, presented by Ram Trucks.
All right, you know this by now because you too have internet, but everywhere you have it, you can get your heaping of college football coverage starting tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time from Bloomington. It's the Christine and the Harrys holding things down, countdown to game day, and then it's an entire slate of college football action, and we put a bow on it for the College Football Show with Scooby, Sam Ravish, the Brother Sims, 8 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube, on the app, on Facebook, everywhere else you get internet.
For now, we're rolling on here. The kickoff presented by Ram Trucks. Heather Dinich staying with us. We just talked about Jedd Fisch. Probably he gets a B+ or an A if we're assigning grades.
And maybe that grader.
Well, maybe it inspired us, right? We're like halfway through the season. Maybe this is midterm time.
Look at that.
Midterm grades for other first-year coaches. Heather Dinich is kind of the adult in the room.
Correct.
If we're being honest, even though we're far older than she is. We're aging like bread. She's aging like wine.
It's Miss Dinich to you?
Ms.
Yeah.
Ms?
Mrs. Dinich to you?
Mrs. Dinich? I'm not sure. But either way, we're going to start with Curt Cignetti on the opposite sideline of Jedd Fisch. What grade are we giving Cignetti in his first year at Indiana?
It has to be A+. They're undefeated. They're scoring over 40 points in every game, winning by double digits. Haven't trailed yet. A+.
was the last time you saw one of those on your papers?
The last time I saw one of those was the last time I saw one of those.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, like never's a time.
Well, Jim?
Never's a time. Jim, I said you wrote papers for gym class? Come on, dude, get it together. Manny Diaz. So not long ago, Heather, from where we stand right now, Manny Diaz was editing video. He used to work here at ESPN. He was a production assistant, worked his way up. Now he's got a real grown-up job. He's there at Duke. You see the bona fides. They're 6-1, 2-1 in the conference. And, of course, this defensive ace has the top-ranked defense in the ACC. What grade are we giving Coach Diaz in Durham?
He gets an A, and a lot of it is because of that defense that you mentioned. He's continued that. Elko started it. He's made it great. And, by the way, historic first win for the program against Florida State. I don't care that Florida State's in shambles. It's the first one. He did it. It's going down in history. So A for Diaz.
And also inspiring that Manny Diaz can be somebody who held things down here in Bristol.
Yeah.
And that inspires us that maybe one day you and I can make something of ourselves, Randy.
Well, maybe do we need a Peaky Blinders haircut to do that? Because he's changed his flow.
The hairline is amazing.
When he was down in Miami, the hairline's undefeated. I'm insanely jealous of that. But to go white wall on the sides and then keep it long on top and sweep it over with the box chain, it's all coming together.
Well, as one does.
I love a box
chain. You do love a box chain because you are wearing one right now, so you have a lot in common with Coach.
Absolutely. Yes. No, 100%. Let's go from Diaz to Elko. We'll kind of keep the Duke ties that bind. Coach Elko now down in College Station with the Aggies.
Look at this
They've won 6 straight. Out of the gates, they fall to Notre Dame, but ever since then they're a wagon. Now they're favored against LSU tomorrow. What grade are we giving the man at the helm of the 14th ranked Aggies?
Gonna give him an A because who would have thought, guys, that we are talking about the winner of this game taking the lead in the SEC standings? Not me. So I think he's done a terrific job. He is a fantastic coach. My only concern with Texas A&M is turnovers. Connor Wegman, can they not make mistakes against this LSU defense?
Based off of the way that Mrs. Dinich is handing out grades, I would have loved to be a pupil.
Please don't call me that.
The way that Heather is handing out these grades, I would certainly would have loved to be a pupil in one of her classrooms.
Yeah, she's a gentle grader.
Just kind of like a, hey, you showed up.
Yeah,
here's
they call her Professor High Def, right? HD.
That's correct.
She told us not to call her Mrs. Dinich.
There we
That's
go.
correct.
Okay, let's see if we can get off of this A train for just a moment. Let's get a little more critical. Okay, I need everybody to put on their negative hats for just a moment.
Sure.
Let's go down to Tuscaloosa. Kalen DeBoer. And on the one hand, there's so many teams that would kill to be ranked 15th in the country.
Also true.
Be 5-2, but this is Alabama that we're talking about. Heather, what grade are you giving the man at the helm of the Tide?
I'm giving him a C, maybe a C minus, but I'm thinking a C. They're average. This is an average team. And look, we're talking 3 straight weeks. Turnovers. 3 straight weeks.
Yeah.
Jalen Milroe has been sacked a combined 9 times.
9?
And the penalties last week. 15 penalties for 115 yards. So not a playoff team, an average is C.
Whoa, okay, so listen, if Kalen DeBoer is getting a C, this next coach who's about to receive a grade, I mean, I'm guessing he's failing on all merits. Sharon Moore, Heather Dinich.
What do you think?
Is getting a what?
So I think he gets a C minus. Here's why. Here's why I'm cutting him a little bit of slack. A little bit of slack because remember, they lost everything from last year's national championship, particularly on offense. Their head coach, starting quarterback, yada yada. List goes on, right? But here's the thing, guys. No excuse for not having a quarterback who can win games at Michigan.
Yes.
Come on.
Period.
They have 6 quarterbacks on their roster, but can any of them play the position?
You know what they say, if you have 6,
if you got 6 quarterbacks,
you have none.
And in this case, Sharon Moore sort of like a super senior in this, because I mean, he got 8 games of head coaching experience under his belt last
I thought you were talking about their quarterback.
When
their quarterback's been there about 8 years.
Also that too.
Yeah.
And one of these days they're going to figure it out.
a lot of people go to college for 7 years. They're called doctors.
They are called doctors.
Heather, I want to get to the last one, and he's got perhaps the Heisman Trophy winner on his team, Spencer Danielson.
Come on.
Out at Boise State. They're 15th in the country. Only have the 1 loss. It was snug. It was to Oregon. What grade are you giving him?
This dude gets an A. He is a terrific young coach. I've had the chance to get to know him a little bit, and you're right. On the road against Oregon is arguably the best loss in the country, especially after Oregon beat Ohio State. They needed a field goal. So let's see what happens tonight, though, guys. Huge monster game. at UNLV that will determine not only the leader in the Mountain West Conference, but who in that conference and nationally takes center stage for the group of 5 in the college football playoff race.
Ashton Jeanty may run for about 300 yards, 5 touchdowns
in the first half.
in that Vegas dome there at Legion Stadium. We'll see how it shakes down. So we're back to A's. So we got A's, A+s, then we stopped down for a couple of C's, and now we're back with A's.
Sure.
We compliment sandwich the coaches there, Heather Dinich. We appreciate it. Not Mrs. Dinich, just H-bomb. We're working on it.
She's a cool teacher. Yeah. She's the cool teacher.
That's exactly right. She's not like the regular teacher.
Can I go to the bathroom? I don't know. Can you?
Thanks, Heather. Oklahoma heading to number 18 Ole Miss. This is an SEC showdown. Sooners have not scored 10 or fewer points in 3 straight games since 1997, and yet they're facing an Ole Miss team that ranks 2nd in points per game allowed.
Yeah.
Game kicks off noon Eastern on ESPN. Number 21, Missouri. Number 15, Alabama. This one in Tuscaloosa. Alabama's won all 4 meetings between the schools since Mizzou joined the conference, and 5 straight overall in the series.
Listen, Bama, they got 2 losses. You can get in the playoff with 2 losses. You ain't getting in with 3, though.
You can watch this game 3:30 Eastern on ABC. Number 11, BYU, undefeated, heading down to Florida, taking on Central Florida. BYU actually an underdog in this one, despite being the ranked and undefeated team, and as of now, with a 42.4% chance to make the college football playoff. Game kicks 3:30 Eastern on ESPN. Number 20, Illinois heading west, taking on the top-ranked team in the country, the Oregon Ducks.
That's going to be a good one.
First time Quack Attack's been ranked number 1 since 2012. Illinois is facing the AP number 1 for the first time since 2007.
And I heard once you go Quack, you never go back.
When it defeated Ohio State by 7. Game kicks at 3:30 Eastern on CBS. Number 5, Texas, looking to bounce back from their only loss so far. And they
sounded like an auctioneer just now.
What's that? They head to Nashville. They're taking number 25, Vanderbilt. First time Commodores ranked first. Have been ranked since finishing the 2013 season, ranked 24th. 4:15 Eastern kick on the SEC Network. Number 6, Miami, hosting their rivals in Florida State. Oh, boy.
Oh, we're calling that a rivalry this year? The 1-6 Seminoles?
Not a close one. Currently the co-fave to win the Heisman. That means co-favorite. Ward is the first player in Miami history to throw for 300 yards in 7 straight games. He's looking to make it 8 straight games.
Dart. Smoke him if you got
7 Eastern on ESPN. There's one great Florida team in that game, and the other is Florida State.
That's correct.
It's time for Saturday Scaries.
Ooh.
We're going to pick, well, I mean, that is kind of terrifying, but we're going to give you a matchup.
So is the guy in the pumpkin head.
And you're going to tell us who should be more scared within that matchup. First question's for you. Oklahoma, quarterback, roulette, just spinning around. You love a roulette wheel. You're really actually oddly successful at it. Is it Oklahoma or is it Ole Miss, who basically, if they lose again, they're out of the playoff?
The scary thing about roulette is that you have to play sections, not numbers, okay? Scary thing, you might think Oklahoma, they're not ranked. Brett Venables, some people say he might be on a hot seat. I say no, they're not ranked. They got nothing to play for this season. The Fighting Kiffins, all right, they're a top team in the country that still has college football hopes and dreams.
Sure,
so one more loss, they're not getting in. It's spooky season for the Reds.
Okay, Ole Miss.
2 weeks ago, they were a top 5 team.
Okay.
Now they're 18.
Yeah, they've fallen.
Okay, yeah.
Well, because they had nobody on their schedule.
And
they got fat off of
And I understand
snacks.
that. And I understand that.
Yeah,
Yet still,
empty calories.
that's the team that hopes to make a playoff.
Sure. And hope is a dangerous thing.
Correct.
Shawshank taught me that. Missouri or Alabama? This one's in Tuscaloosa. 2-loss tied right now. The Fighting Eli Drinkwitzes are rolling through everybody. They just beat UMass.
Correct, obviously. You don't just
thumped
go
them
up to UMass.
Up to Amherst.
And expect to walk out of that stadium that I can't remember the name.
Or like Amherst.
Yeah.
Am I right?
They put
Who
the Hertz on.
should be more scared? It's Alabama.
It's unequivocally Alabama. They're 5-2. We
Yeah.
understand that you can get into the playoff with 2 losses. You are not getting in. Don't care what the pedigree is of your team, and you got that Crimson A on your helmet. Well, they don't, but you know what I'm talking about. You're not getting into the college football playoff with 3 losses, even if somehow, some way you win the SEC. So if they lose this game, see you later, bye.
Yeah.
Enjoy a New Year's 6 game.
2 losses is their most before November since 2007. That was Nick Saban's first year. Right now, Kalen DeBoer's first year. Who knows? Maybe it's
so he's going to win 7 national championships.
Maybe it's growing pains.
Okay.
Yeah, growing pains,
Cool.
and there's a Kalen DeBoer statue in about 15 years. The next matchup is an interesting one, to be sure, as we have Vanderbilt hosting Texas. Texas right now is better than the Alabama team that Vandy already beat. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But they both went down to Nashville. Yeah. You and I, not together, weird, but you and I have had some wild nights.
We've had some good times in Nashville.
Right.
Why haven't we gone down together?
That's a very good question. I don't know. But
let's plan that.
Is Texas going to have a good night or a bad night? Who should be more scared?
I think Vanderbilt should be more scared, actually.
Oh, you're wrong, but go ahead.
Well, no, here's the thing. Texas, they're a one-loss team. Obviously, while I was gone, I heard they lost to Georgia.
They did.
Vanderbilt's the team with all the momentum all of a sudden. They're the team that beat
pressure.
Alabama.
Go ahead.
But they do, because they're the team that beat Alabama. They're the team now that's all of a sudden ranked. They are the Commodores who were the doormat of the SEC.
Commodore
right?
mat, yeah.
Exactly, Commodore mat.
Sure.
They should be scared in that, holy smokes, we're knocking into November and we got something to play for now.
Okay.
We could lose it. That's kind of spooky.
Need you to dial down the language. Texas, I'm applying.
Also, does their quarterback kind of look like me from this angle a little bit? Hold on.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. I'm pulling for him.
Diego Pavia?
I'm pulling for him.
Texas has everything to lose. Everything to lose. And I'm applying your own logic. Who has more to lose? Therefore, they should have the most pressure. Okay. It's them. I think they're going to get their quarterback situation figured out. I think they beat Vandy. Okay. I think it's like, a more impressive win than in years past.
For sure.
Speaking of impressive, let's get to BYU. They're undefeated, these Cougars, 11th ranked team in the country. They're headed down to Orlando.
Yeah.
Though. Orlando, sometimes, what do you say about Florida? A sunny place for shady people? Is that what you call it?
I do that.
Well, I think Central Florida poses a challenge on the ground.
Yep.
Take the air out of the football for a team that had to come way back to win late their last time out. Obviously, you were dialed into that from Prague or wherever the heck you were.
Budapest?
Who has the most You're being a Budapest right now. Who has the most pressure?
I think the most pressure right now is quite literally the quarterback with that helmet. That helmet does not fit him. Okay, can we zoom in already? Can you zoom into that? The pressure is literally on my guy's melon. Can the good folks down in Orlando, UCF, get my man a bucket that fits? This thing is squeezing every ounce of air. Look at that, it doesn't fit him, dude.
I know.
You can see the bottom of his earlobe.
All right, yeah.
Okay, that's the pressure that we're talking about.
It's more of a him issue. It was that way at Arkansas for him.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Battle of the Mitten State. Where are you from? Oh, yeah. Is it Michigan State or is it Michigan?
And here's the thing.
You can't lose. If you're the national champs, you cannot lose to little brother.
Okay, well, first of all, you play to the room. Who's our producer right now? Slacey.
Yes.
Where does she go? Swimmer at Michigan State.
Correct.
So pressure is on Michigan because
Correct.
I hate Wolverines. They're rodents. They're gross. And East Lansing is better than Ann Arbor. I'm only saying that because our producer in the booth went to Michigan
I
State.
have no comment on anything that you just said. Shout out Eagle Hall, Whitehall. I can't remember where my sister lived when she was at Michigan State. For 1 year. Lost her scholarship because she had too much fun. Love you, Max.
See?
Love you, Max. I know, that's an amazing.
Too much fun.
East Lansing is
too much fun
at the time. Okay, this has been the Kickoff.
Yes.
Presented by Ram Trucks. You're going to be back next week, or are you going abroad again?
What? You know what?
I'm just curious.
I don't like your tone. I'll be right here.
We all have abandonment issues, and you've caused them.
I'm locked in.
Doesn't sound like an apology. We'll see you next week.